listeners, colleagues, family members, welcome to Mindworx Choose Your Thinking. We're really glad to be back to talk to you about the 3 principles and how to live a more stress-free, positive life. It's getting a little bit tricky right now, but I'm glad to see you guys. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name's Melissa. I am a mother of 2, a former 7th grade language arts teacher. Hopefully we'll get back to school eventually. I'm homeschooling. I'm 6 kids right now, so I feel like I'm a teacher, I'm a janitor, I'm a cook, I'm all of the above. So anyway, nice to meet everybody. Ben.
Hello, Mitch, Melissa, everyone who might be watching. I was told that we were going to have props. So my prop is right behind me. That's the famous 1-iron shot from Ben Hogan. I'm a golfer. I'm a golf coach. I teach 8th grade social studies, and I have a cat named Kitty. And if we're lucky enough for the next 20 so minutes or so, maybe she'll come up and say hello. Hi, I'm Ben.
Ben, Melissa, what a cool time this is. My name is Mitch. I am a school principal and father of 2. I will say from our previous podcastings, I am now single, so you can put the dots together on that. So that's been a little bit of a light changer for me. But super excited to share today in this new format. We've never Zoomed. We want to thank Zoom right now for opening this up, giving us this opportunity, and maybe this is something that we can do in the near future too. But what an opportunity, and I'm excited to share our message with everybody out there.
So there are no props, or are there props? Do you guys have props?
I have a prop. In fact, I was going to wear this shirt, and then I totally forgot. So now I'm showing you. This is my quarantine.
Well, I was going to end with this, but I just want to say, some of the things I look forward to is the fact that Wisconsin's the national champions, NCAA tournament this year. I don't know if you saw the ESPN post about it, but I'm making T-shirts up. Probably will have one soon enough, but I would just like to say congratulations. I'm a Wisconsin kid, born and raised, loving it.
Go Badgers.
So my son just walked in. This is the new normal. This isn't necessarily how we normally meet. Yes. So I don't know about you, but there's nothing about my life that's normal right now. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because I have a feeling that our listeners and our viewers now are probably feeling a little bit of the same way. So we do have kind of 3 topics that we're going to cover but we're going to be a little bit unscripted and just kind of have a conversation about how we're dealing with this pandemic and how we can look at it through the lens of the 3 principles and be kind of positive and hopefully a little more stress-free than we need to be. Well,
I know you guys, we all do work in the same district, and I have to say that we're blessed that we get to kind of continue to be paid through this process, even though we're not spending a whole lot of time at school right now. However, there's still a lot of work to be done, a lot of questions being answered. But to be honest, it is such a weird time. Unprecedented as a leader. I've never had to go through something like this. And when we talk about mental stress, holy cow, do we have it right now. And that's what 3 Principles is all about. That's what Mindworx. That's why we started this company. And this is why we want to send this message. And I want to reiterate that we're sending this out today, not to make a buck, man. We are out to help people. Hey, Kitty.
Yeah.
To help people just navigate through this. And so I just want to start with you guys because I've been getting posed questions quite a bit. And a matter of fact, there was one email from one of my staffers that literally had 15 questions that were all basically, she said, this is what's on my mind. And I think they're so true. So we picked 3 of those today that I hope that we can just kind of round robin on and talk just a little bit how we're handling this pandemic in this crisis. And the first question that we had was, and I'll lay all 3 out so you can be thinking about them. But the first question is, will I get infected or will someone I know get sick and possibly die? Question number 2. Will I be able to provide for myself and for my family? And then question number 3 is where we hope to really kind of hit you with the 3 principles side of this is, how can I keep myself, my loved ones mentally okay and sane? So I hope today we can shed some light on basically really a personal reflection on 3 people that have an understanding of the 3 principles and how we're using those to help us through. So Ben, why don't you get us started? What do you think about that first question? Will I get infected, or will someone I know get sick and die?
I think those are questions that we've all asked. This is new to all of us. So I think there is a concern. There's definitely a worry, but I think maybe a bigger question is not what we're thinking, but how we choose to think. And I think it's absolutely appropriate to be informed, to know that, it's best to stay home. It's best to not put yourself in social situations.
You talk about self-care too, wash your hands, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the world is changing. And I think that, life for us in the three principles is life is what you think of it. And even with this pandemic, I believe it's how you choose to think of it. And I do believe that there are silver linings. We talk all the time how the miracles are always there when you're willing to see it. So I think for one is be aware of how you are thinking about this pandemic. Control the things that you can control. If it happens that you or a loved one gets sick tomorrow, worry about it tomorrow, but take the precautions for it today. It's amazing how often we overthink things, and at some point we get so lost in thought that we've lost staying in the present.
Melissa, how about you? You've got a big family over there. Sometimes you have up to 6-7 kids in your household. What are you thinking about them? Are you thinking about you? Talk about that.
That's actually kind of a hard topic for me to discuss and think about. And I've been worried about posting pictures of all the kids that I have over at my house on Facebook. And I didn't do that until the last couple of days because I was worried about people judging how many kids I had in my house at a time. I have 6 kids at my house right now that I'm homeschooling from 3rd to 6th grade. 2 of them are my kids and 2 are my sister's kids. And then I have 2 friends who, don't have any homeschool or daycare options for their kids that I'm helping out. So I've kind of chosen who is going to be in my bubble, and some people might not agree with my bubble. But it's my bubble, and we have a lot of sanitizer. We are constantly washing our hands. I don't take them with me to, Hy-Vee or to Dairy Queen or whatever. We're staying in the house and we're doing nature walks and we're going outside and we're doing what we can do to try and stay safe in our bubble. And my kids have asked me, about getting sick and worrying about grandparents and worrying about me. Those are valid concerns, and we've just talked about how we do what we can to keep ourselves safe, and we listen to what the recommendations are from the people who know more than us, and after that we just have to live our lives and not live our lives with worry and fear, because there's no reason to do that. I learned through you two when I first took the 3 principles class that we live through 1,000 tragedies that don't actually ever happen.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing what I can, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm not worrying too much and I'm not stressing my kids out about it, because there's no need to be stressed.
Yeah. And I have, I've got 2 young girls that are actually traveling back and forth between 2 households right now. But, I will say that we've talked, as parents, we've talked about who are we exposing ourselves to that then could in turn, expose the kids. But, Sid Banks is the person that we kind of learn from. And he says that, you want to stay very present in moments like these, because if you try to plan for A, B, C, and D, and then only A happens, you wasted a lot of energy on B, C, and D. So for me, one of the biggest things that I've been thinking about when I think about will I get sick is I will know what to do when I get there, but I'm really trying not to worry about it. Like, I'm not putting the news on at night. We're watching funny home videos. We're watching cat and dog, YouTube clips just to keep ourselves away from overthinking it, because media really does do that for us. So for me, it's really about staying present, bringing in the moment, and knowing kind of what we teach is that if something does happen, if I come down and get sick, all right, manage it at that point in time. And it sounds like it would start with, if it doesn't affect me as strongly as it does someone else, maybe I can tough it out, And I want to keep reminding our listeners that there's a lot of people that have had it and toughed it out. And I know that there's the worst case scenario But right now, I try not to even think that. And so I'm healthy now. In a matter of weeks, and as we move forward, if I do come down with something, it's just going to be moment by moment. What decision do I need to make that is best in that moment in time for me and the people surrounding me? So,
right now in Iowa, we're not New York, we're not California. I do think it's probably going to come. Yep. But right now, courses are still open. At some point, it's going to happen. Golf courses are going to shut down. We're probably going to be a shelter in place. And when it happens, let's deal with it when we get there. Yep. Let's not overthink it now about the things that are going to happen or may happen, because it may not. And if it doesn't, great. If it does, we'll be prepared and ready when it comes.
Be responsible for yourself and for your neighbor. Be thinking about what can I do? The hand washing, the keeping the distance. So any last comments on that question, you guys? Anything else you want to throw in there, or should we move to question 2?
Question 2.
All right. So question 2, will I be able to provide for myself and my family?
You want me to take it? Should I give it a go?
We'll keep the same order. Yeah.
I just figured. I think it's important to understand that when we look at the silver linings in this pandemic, part of it is the greatness of human nature. That a lot of people are doing what they can. I don't have any doubt that if I need toilet paper, for example, I can knock on a neighbor's door.
Not mine.
Not yours.
Nope.
But I also think it's about, what are you trying to provide for your family? I completely understand that we want to give, make sure that we're bringing in some money, some income, making sure that there's food, etc. But I also believe that providing means that you are giving strength of courage for your family through a difficult time, that you are finding the love, that you're looking for those silver linings. We will get through this. We will be okay. And I think it's important for us to reassure each other that that's going to happen, instead of being consumed with worry. Control the things that you can control. And, again, I do expect that things will get worse, but when they do, we will handle it when it gets there.
That's good. Melissa.
So, this is a valid concern for so many people. I have a sister in New York City who doesn't have a job right now. She owns a salon. Salons are closed. She employs dozens of people at her salon that have no source of income right now. I have a friend, and I'm taking care of her kid right now through homeschooling, that also doesn't have a job because her place of business is closed. So I know that this is a valid concern for a lot of people, and that a lot of people are applying for unemployment at record levels. I really think that it's important that we're not too proud, and that we ask for help when we need it. There are a lot of people who need help, even with my homeschooling right now. I've asked for help. I've asked for people to bring gallons of milk and rolls of toilet paper when they arrive at my door each week. You can't do it all yourself. Mentally or physically, it's not something that's possible for any of us. So I think that in this time, we need to really lean on each other. Concerns are valid about fighting.
You talk about leaning on each other. I am impressed with different parts of our society. We do have corporations, and I know we give them a hard time sometimes, but they are, providing different opportunities for people, putting monies into different pots. We talked about the world's largest tip jar. There's a whiskey company that is doing that, where it's kind of like a Venmo account where you can add things in for those that are rely on the tips and working those kind of jobs and those shifts. So I get excited when I hear some of those people that are supporting, and I know that when it really gets bad, I think we're all going to step to the plate. And, Ben, I will give you toilet paper if you're down to really their last couple of.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Other people.
But, this became really real for us. And I think this is a way to kind of shape an analogy. This is what we teach the 3 principles many times through story. Prior to our spring break, which started March 13th, that Monday before that, my sister, who's a little older than I am, and she's got a daughter who's 11, but she's a single mother as well, one income family. she was called into to her boss's location at her hospital as a physical therapist assistant. If anybody needs a physical therapist assistant in Iowa or Indiana, give me a call. She was released. She lost her job at that moment in time. And so I remember getting that text message that morning when we were still in session at school, and my heart just sank. I was like, oh my God. And immediately my mind starts thinking like, how is she going to keep her house? How long is that going to go? Or what's going to happen next? What do you do if that, what would I do if that happened to me, tomorrow? And, so we get on the phone, and she has taken this class as well and has an understanding. And of course you have to get over that initial punch of anxiety, but then you got to calm down. You got to take it step by step. And it's funny though, in hindsight, she actually was given a severance pay all the way through the end of July. She no longer has to be in a hospital clinic setting where she'd be seeing people being exposed to now this pandemic. And she was able to come be with our family and with my two girls to help support us. And so again, that wraparound. And now we both look at it and go, we were terrified of the thinking behind that. And now all of a sudden it became this tremendous blessing in our current state. So I believe in the angels above. I believe that somebody's watching over us. And that's just an example of how your thinking can switch from one side of the world to another. And that's what we hope to help to let people know, that you got to keep looking for the little things that are truly amazing and miracles every day. The time now you get to spend with your family, whatever it might be. But that providing piece, we don't want to downplay that, because we're blessed right now. The three of us are blessed with our current situations. And we know there's a lot of other people that are out there, but this is where we lean on each other. We don't want to overthink it. Let your wisdom take over again. So.
It's today I was having a conversation with a friend that as this pandemic began, he was going through an interview process, and he was moving along where he eventually hopes to get a job where he was going to be making six figures. And through this pandemic, everything has slowed down, and he spent more time with his family. And he's asking the question, is it really worth it?
Right.
Take this job and make good money and quote unquote provide for his family. But will he be able to spend the time with his family? And again, silver linings, I really think he has taken some pause and asked those questions. And maybe this is, for many of us, a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
I feel the exact same way. My life 2-3 weeks ago is completely different than it is today. Myself and my kids lived by schedules and bells. My kids are extremely active. My son's in baseball, basketball, football. He's in everything. My daughter's on 3 soccer teams, and was in gymnastics. We had activities every single night. And so it was very difficult for us to stop all of that really cold turkey.
Yeah. We're starting to experience life again. We're outside. We're just enjoying nature. I laughed. My sister and I and the 3 girls, we did what my grandparents did, and I made fun of them all the time. They just would get in the car and go for a drive. We just drove around Saylorville Lake, and we went and got ice cream cones. And it's the simple stuff right now that really is getting us through.
I do feel like I've had more quality time with my kids in the last week and a half or 2 weeks, and with my nieces, than I've had in a long time, because we've had time to just sit there and be kind of bored together. And we have the luxury of going on a nature walk that lasts 2.5 hours.
Right.
We all have a mutual friend. Let's call him Larry. But he took out a game. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. He's in his 60s. It's called Hands Down. Have you ever played this game?
No.
It's something from when he was a kid. And he brought it out for the first time in 50 years. And he's playing with his girlfriend. That's pretty cool. Hands Down. Never heard of it.
Well,
great title game, by the way.
Yeah. Well, let's pause for just a second. Let's get to that last question there, because like I said, we say that we have this great thing, this concept of mind, thought, and consciousness, and how it really affects our everyday lives. But really, what is it? How can we help ourselves? How do we help our loved ones really mentally get through this? What's the key? And we can popcorn this one too, for sure. But Ben, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. So, real world example. My parents right now are in California. They're 79 years old. I have a mother who's stage 4, father who's in remission. I'm worried, definitely, right? Control the things that you can control. I spoke to them just a little while ago. They're having groceries brought through Amazon. When they get the okay from their doctor, they will eventually come back home. But, I think, again, going back to that second question, what we can provide, and I want to make sure that I'm there for them. I can give them that love and support. But I also think that there's a time where if I consume my thoughts with my parents and consume them with worry, then I'm going to find myself in a worried state. I don't want to be there. If something happens down the road, we'll deal with it when we get there. But, again, I go back to that idea of seeing the silver linings. Staying present. I think about the quote from Ferris Bueller: life is what's happening while you're busy making other plans. No, it's John Lennon. We use this both in our class. The Ferris Bueller, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and think about it once in a while, you could miss it. We're all in a position now of slowing down. And it's interesting.
That was one of our main goals for the class. Slow down. Melissa talked about our schedule. Ben, you talked about that. This is amazing right now.
And we always use the analogy of traffic and how our thinking in traffic is always changing. We can go from point A to point B and we have no idea how we've gotten there. And we actually did this assignment where you're actually focused on driving when you drive home from our class. What do you see? What do you hear? Keeping your eyes on the road, paying attention, of course. But it's interesting because when you go outside now, there is not a lot of traffic. People are working from home. I think our world is really going to change. It's going to become more of a virtual world. Get this, when I was talking to my parents, they did an air quality check in California. The quality of the air has gotten better during this pandemic. People aren't driving. It's been better for the air and pollution.
I think it was Italy. Italy, didn't the canals clear up? They're it's clear water now. If I saw that somewhere in the news. So these things are happening. And, one of the things that we always talk about, and it comes from the 3 principles, of course, is when you come from a place of peace, that's when you do your best thinking. And I think it's important to try and get back to present. We always talk about how in the course of a day, we have 60 to 100,000 thoughts. And oftentimes those thoughts will run away from us. I think it's important to become aware of what you're thinking, control the things you can control, and focus on the positives.
Coming from the perspective of a mom and a current homeschooler, in terms of keeping myself and my kids mentally sane, I do believe that it's important to slow down, but I also believe that it's important to give your kids and yourself a little bit of structure, and to have schedules or goals for yourself every day. So I'm just going to put that in there. I do have a schedule completely written down on a whiteboard right now, for both myself and my kids to keep myself sane. But I think structure is important. I think it's important that we keep our mind active and that we read and that we continue to exercise. Or if you don't exercise, like I haven't been doing, to start doing that. But also in that structure to let yourself and your kids really embrace the extra time that you might have and to have fun. Like last night, instead of making my kids go to bed at 8:30 or 9, all 6 kids spent the night, and we didn't go to bed until 11:30, and they played hide and go seek out in the dark and had a ton of fun, so just to let them kind of release some of their anxieties and stress though too, and to model positivity for everyone around us. And that makes me feel better too. When I force myself to smile and be positive, it helps those around me, but it also helps myself.
So we're gonna throw up as we onto the screen share here an opportunity. The reason that we are kind of here is that we want to talk to you about our website, mindworksforme.com, and we want to give everybody the opportunity to go in. We do have podcasts that are on that site, and it is Ben, Melissa, and myself. We have 10 episodes. It starts with the introduction, and you'll get to see from day one when we first started and first launched. We actually go into what the 3 principles are in that first episode a little bit more deeply. And then all the way through here, there's new opportunities, that hopefully you've got a little time on your hands right now. And if you're struggling with mental health and you're struggling with keeping your thoughts in check, that come check these podcasts out. We throw a lot of the stuff that we have in our class into this learning opportunity, but please take a look at it, because that's what our hope is. I mean, we're not here. We haven't made a dime off of this. And really, for us, it's not about the money. This has been for us all about sharing something that has impacted us drastically. It's gotten me through divorces. It's gotten me through new relationships. It's gotten me through death in the family. And just knowing every moment in time that we always are in control of how we experience this. From a pandemic to something as simple as waking up in the morning, we have a choice of how we do it. So, you guys, we know, we've talked about this over and over again. We experience the 3 principles every day. Every time we walk in the door, every time we get to be in the same room together or on a Zoom conversation, we share these stories of like, hey, I got to share this with you, and how the 3 principles impacted it, or how this person's thinking impacted them. We talk about Larry. Some people have a natural tendency to be really good at this. Other people need to work at it. And it's just great. I've met some new people recently that just have brought a new positive energy into my world. And it's just so important to have that outlook, and it's to lift each other up. So that's our goal for this day. But what more do you guys want to say before we get close to the end here?
So in addition to checking out our podcasts from the past, our contact information is on there, and we're not saying that we're experts on anything, but I'm doing a pretty good job homeschooling. So if you have any questions about how to do that and deal with all of the children that you're suddenly finding yourself dealing with at home, let me know. You have a principal here, you have a coach. We're here, and we're interested in talking to you if you want to reach out. So
that's a good point. And I think also, we do have a Facebook page. If you look for Mindworx on Facebook, you're going to see like different memes, different things. There's not a ton of new content lately, but we're trying to change that right now. Our goal is going to be that we are going to be putting information up, hopefully every Wednesday, that you're going to be able to see something like this, or a new podcast, or a new Zoom, just to help us all get through this. And we'll have a little different topics. We'll talk about what's going on right at that moment. But we really feel important to be with you guys right now. And we hope that our friends, families get an opportunity to look at this and enjoy at least even a little social time.
When we talk about the 3 principles, and we talk about, life is really what you think it. How you think about your job, how you think about your family, how you think about your car, how you think about your house, how you think about this pandemic. And the cool thing about the 3 principles for us, it has not only changed our thinking, it has changed our lives. And so if in some way we can impart that, then it's well worth our time and effort. I feel like it would be not appropriate if I just don't show you this before we leave. One last, right, Kitty? Say it.
And your pants, Ben.
Yes, your pants.
They say that pants are selling at a slower rate than tops are nowadays. This is why, right here.
Well, I've also heard, don't trust the sweatpants. It's about wearing the pants again, and we'll see what's happened in the last month.
All right. Well, guys, I think we should wrap this up right now. And again, I want to thank. It's just good to see you guys. It's good to be with you guys. And again, when we talk to all of you, hopefully out there in the world, take a look at this. This is a great time to be reaching out and reading about Sid Banks. There's a lot of different videos. If you look up 3 principles online, there's tons of movies. There's tons of things, information out there. We would love to help you start your journey. And just thank you. And be safe, everybody. So, guys,
I've got 2 props. My bad.
Well, cool. There's more.
Just me kidding the thing. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.